Hello, everybody. It is Thursday, January 20th, 2022. Welcome to the January public meeting of ANC 5D's Zoning and Development Committee. Hope you're all doing well and staying safe during this second month of Omicron. Anyway, tonight's meeting, I'm going to share my screen. That way we can all see the agenda. I'm just going to share my desktop because I'll be bouncing back and forth. And so the agenda right now is we don't have any scheduled developer presentations for this month. So instead, we're going to do some focusing at the end of it for long-term planning activities to include identifying zoning committee members who want to lead specific projects. Prior to that, though, we're going to go through some upcoming BZA cases that are within ANC 5D. The first one is BZA 20580. It is for 500 to 530 Moore Street. And they actually have a hearing coming up January 26th, just so next Wednesday. Next, then we have a BZA case. There's two more BZA cases coming up. One is for 801 20th Street Northeast that has a hearing in April. The next there's BZA case 20691 at 1274 Oat Street. That also has a future hearing in April. And there is also a pending zoning commission case, ZC 1251C, and that is, I think I'm gonna not describe this correctly, but that was for Gallaudet University, and it was part of like their new plan for the west side of their campus. And but actually, we're not going to discuss that. Commissioner Moore notified me before this meeting that the ANC is already they've already presented before the ANC, and the ANC voted on a motion and submitted a report. If we have time, we might also discuss, although there's nothing, we haven't received anything, so we can't really discuss it, but an applicant, pending applicant has reached out to Commissioner Moore about a future PUD at the address of 2229 M Street Northeast. And that is currently zoned RA2. And I think the idea is a PUD for affordable senior housing, but we have not received any plans or any, what the request is. We do not know what any of the community benefits packages might be. So, we might just end up tabling this because we don't honestly have any detail yet. I think Commissioner Moore, correct me if I'm wrong, you said they are on the February ANC public meeting agenda to present?
Correct. So they're on the February agenda for a first look. As you stated correctly, we don't have very much in the way of details right now.
Okay. And once we get through these cases, we do want to discuss some general kind of zoning committee. When we first stood up this committee, we also wanted to do some things to be more proactive instead of reactive. So we wanted to set up like a working group, or just someone wanted to tackle. Basically, we wanted to track vacant and blighted nuisance properties in the neighborhoods and come up with a system so that we can find out like who owns these and is the city taking action, and maybe put some pressure. There's a few infamous buildings in the community which it seems like the landlords are either absent or they don't want to do anything, and we may just need to apply some pressure so that these aren't blight on the neighborhoods, instead that they get developed, or find out what can we do to help. So and there needs to be a process there, because we can't just be like reaching out to somebody, but then without having a feedback process so we can track to see, okay, because there might be some issues with bureaucracy where we make a complaint and then doesn't get followed up on. So we probably need for each property some system of, tracking, reporting all of our communication to the city to figure out like why something is or is not happening. We also wanted to talk about setting up a way to track illegal construction in the neighborhood. We also want to talk about coordinating with some of the other ANC committees where it makes sense. I think the committee that makes the most sense is probably the new transportation committee, because very often what we do can needs to be in concert with the transportation committee. And then we've also, I was looking at the original list we had created a few years back, and we had talked about creating a flyer that when we know a BZA case is coming up, the process requires neighbors within 200 feet to receive a neighbor notification letter, but it's a very kind of a dry legal document that the neighbors may just not have any idea what this means. So, I think if we were to create some sort of glossy flyer so that, and, when a project is coming up, we could just paper all the houses. And I'm not saying we have to get every house within, 200 feet, like DCRA requires and the Office of Zoning requires the developers. What if we could at least get the, on the block, and that way those neighbors would understand, hey, this case is going to be discussed at some upcoming meetings. If you want to know more about this project, you can attend the zoning committee meetings, or there will be some presentations at the A and C meetings, just to kind of like help foster more engagement. I think a lot of people only learn about zoning when a project comes up literally next to their door, right next to their door. And that is the first, and so it'd be nice if we can maybe spread the knowledge a little bit more and help neighbors understand what's going on. And that's more about seeing, is there anyone in attendance tonight is wanting to tackle that? But I just do want to put it on put it on the wish list. And it would now, Commissioner Moore, I've listed this as a volunteer, but I understand now the ANC has paid staff, and it would be nice. Some of the other ANCs in the city, they have definitely have a better process for tracking all of the, they've got like a zoning section on their ANC website, and every time there's a case, any reports are all using, it's very more organized in how we've done it. I'm just curious if somebody could, on the committee would have time to research what the other ANCs are doing and how we might do that on our own on a page of the ANC's website. So we could, that way, even a month or two later, the record, we are a public body. So when the ANC submits reports on behalf, it'd be nice if those were always available, easily available, on the ANC website.
Yeah, I agree. So we do have some staff available, not huge amounts of hours available for that staff necessarily.
Yeah.
But we have hired an architect. All of the official hiring paperwork has not gone through yet to be able to use him as our design professional of record. But we, plan to complete that. And that's just because, frankly, we've already been using his work, but through our attorney. For zoning and development, and he does that work in her office. And so it made sense for financial purposes to just go ahead and be able to contact him directly without paying an additional 15-minute fee to our lawyer at $200 an hour to be able to access that service. And we are still, we still have some administrative staff to make updates to the website. But we're having some changeover challenges there. And so I'll let you know as that becomes available, to get some of those documents posted.
Derek, thank you, Commissioner Moore. Derek asked, is now when we discuss the blighted properties? I would say I'd like to get to the BZA cases first, Derek, and then we will get back to them. And the other last item I think we on the list was, I think we should try to create like a contact list for DCRA and DCOZ and just a list of people that anytime something comes up, we don't have to go, who do we contact? And I think it was at the last month's meeting, after the last month's meeting, Commissioner Moore, you had sent us an email about, oh, this is who you talk to when there's like illegal construction, or I forget who it is. I'm like, we need to kind of have like a, a contact card. So
well, I'll take that item for sure for the contact list.
Oh, perfect. Oh, yeah. Okay. Great. So
I'm wondering if the tracking system for vacant blighted properties and for illegal construction might not actually be related to each other. Are they truly separate entities?
I think they are,
Okay.
because, I mean, illegal construction is, it's often, people working after hours or people doing something without permits. The vacant blighted properties are, lots that are like often just overgrown, or there's some buildings, there's a famous
Okay.
one over on 19th and 8th Street Northeast, or 18th at the corner of on 8th Street,
Yeah.
where most of the building has fallen down, and it's just a disaster, and it's gone through a series of different LLCs, most likely the same owner, but it's a blight on the neighborhood. So how do we get that? How do we apply pressure so that doesn't become blight in the neighborhood? There's another famous house down on Moore Street, and where there's just a bunch of metal work holding up the front facade, and then there's no roof, and there's no back to the building. It's just gone. There's nothing left. And we've heard. So we just need to figure out and create a process where we do some research and we follow up, and maybe each month we say, hey, what's the action on this property? What have we done? And we just kind of go from there. And there's probably more than we think. And sometimes I'm worried we just going to be accused of being busybodies, sticking our nose where it doesn't belong. But like these properties are blight, and that's not a, you don't want to raise your young, you don't want to raise families and have kids running around
Yeah, there's
messed
a
up
property
areas.
at M Street that might fit that description, I've noticed.
Sure. So and before I move on to actually digging into the agenda items, does anyone present have other agenda items they'd like to propose, or are there topics we should discuss this month? Once, twice, 3 times. Okay, all right. So I'm going to jump into this BZA case here, which is the very first upcoming BZA case. I will, hold on, I'm on the wrong browser. Firefox browser. All right, there we go. Most people are interested in my front door, exterior door research. All right, so this BZA case is, I'm going to try to minimize this, is 20580 appeal. I am sharing my screen. Yes, I am. It's an appeal from a decision made on June 11th, 2021 by the ZC. I'm just on for those watching from home, this is the ISIS website, and you can always go in here and at any time, I'm not doing this correctly, but once you're into the ISIS website, if you ever just search for IZIS BZA or BZA case search, you'll get to this website. And we always just search for upcoming cases in 5D, and these are the upcoming cases. And this is the first. There's several cases, upcoming cases in here, and this is the first case we're going to look at. And I'm just going to jump down into the case record. And there is, so we're up to, and I have not, this is the case coming up. This is the DCR's pre-hearing statement. Commissioner Moore, is anyone on this call familiar what this, I have not read through this. What is the concern of the applicant?
I can't see the top of this one. Which property is this?
Oh,
The
this
one in
is,
Eastern, it's over in Union Market on Morse Street,
yeah,
I'm not
500,
sure.
530.
Okay, it's
The
500.
building is under construction, that I know, because I've seen it.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the background is on this one.
Okay, and that is this. Of course, this building is well under construction right now. There's the old subway, and there's a high rise. There's like a massive building right here.
Yeah, it's under construction. And actually, I pulled up Google Maps a moment ago to look that up, and it showed the building under construction.
Okay.
So that's interesting.
Google Street View. That's not. Yeah, I'm not sure.
With a regular map that you could see it under construction.
Okay, gotcha. 500.
Street view not, but you turn on, yep, the satellite.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, you can see the.
Okay, so I have the pre-hearing documents. Let me,
Okay.
I'll forward this to you. So it seems like the issue here is regarding an easement.
Interesting. Okay. And would that be with the power station next door?
I believe it's with, I don't see here, JBG Properties.
Mhm.
And it's a parking easement for the alley regarding service alley and parking easements. So I'll forward this email to
Yeah.
you so you can share.
Well, I can download it. Which.
Okay, so exhibit B-2 through B-4.
There's a summary on the,
Yeah,
if you download the exhibit 2.
Yeah.
The 151 pages. Okay.
Yeah, the
Oh,
first
no.
paragraph is a summary though.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Downloading here. Exhibit 2.
Is it the bottom one?
Oh, I got something in the chat log. Is this related to the new brewery that is going in there? People already moved into that building. Derek, I do not know. Let me see if I can bring up. What's going on here? I can't bring up my hidden downloads folder because the closed captioning on the screen is literally blocking my ability to open my downloads folder. That is nice. Okay, how do I just do this? Finder, downloads.
And I'm not 100% sure in this case that we can submit as the ANC, since it's both an appeal and it's regarding an easement between private property owners. But let's see.
Here it is. The appellant submits this appeal.
Yeah.
The D series is refusing to enforce a condition of proving this would require the applicant of the PD case owner of tree core sufficient easement agreements for access to a shared alley. Prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy for the Elkhorn property and stay the PUD order until the board can merit. And we now we are out how many days prior? Actually, can the ANC submit? Now, has the Commissioner Moore, has Eden's approached the ANC to submit anything on their behalf? Have they
No.
requested feedback?
No, and actually, I think the case record had us listed as not applicable.
Okay.
To submit a report.
I mean, this seems like an issue between two private property owners with buildings that are already built. And in the interest of time, I think I would like to move on to some of the other items in the agenda that we can easily review.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
And I mean, it's not allowing me to submit a report anyway via my ANC account. So.
Okay. And the chat log. Oh, Derek Bem has posted. Hold up. Thank you, Derek, for sharing that. Eden's files appeals for alley easements at Union Market. I'm going to just copy this link because I mean, I'm surprised they haven't asked to present because, I mean, it is a zoning commission hearing. members of the public are, I think, generally can go and speak for, or against it. So I'm surprised they haven't reached out to get more, or maybe they just feel it's so technical that it's,
Yeah.
who knows. All right, I'm going to jump on to the next BZA case we have coming up. This is for April. This is 20680, 801 20th Street Northeast. And I am going, this was, I'm going to bring up 801, the address in here, 801 20th Street Northeast. Just for folks to get context, this is in Commissioner Moore, your single member district.
Yes.
And it is
It's
on
it's about a block and a half from where I live.
801 20th Street Southeast. And it's right off, you know, the address on 20th Street. A lot of the building is actually on H Street here.
Correct.
And
Yeah.
I'm just going to use my little street view man here so folks can get an idea of the context of the property. So this is the property right here. It is currently this, the property line is right here. So this is the house here. And what I'm going to do is, this is 20580, it's not that one. Two oh five eight oh. Too many tabs. 20580. What I'm going to do is this, right, that is not the right one. This is 20580.
You're looking at the one in Union Market right now.
Yeah, I am 20580. Oh, you're right. You're right. 20680. That's the one right there. 20680. Pardon me. So it's a case summary is to conduct a third story with roof deck and rear addition and convert to a 3-unit apartment house, semi-detached, 3-story with cellar, principal dwelling in the RF4 zone. That's cool.
Yeah. And so you already have 3 units by right in an RF4 zone.
I just clicked on the architectural plans. And I wanted to quickly, I've looked at these earlier and I just want the folks at home watching just to see the context. This is the current front facade of that building. Actually, no, you can kind of see the old doors here. They've been bricked in.
Old windows and door, yeah.
And the building is getting a side addition and going up a level.
And being reoriented.
And being
to face
reoriented. So that side on H Street, which you currently see here now, becomes this.
Become the front of the building.
Becomes the front of the building. And the front door for everyone moves over here.
Yeah.
By the way, I will say, from a design point of view, for a building this large to have a small little door like that, you'd think they'd go with a double door or something. But
yeah,
you know, from another angle, just to give you context of the side, this is the adjacent neighbor's home. This is the existing adjacent residence, so it does go back quite a bit.
Right, and it will go, the building behind it there is a rather narrow, I think it's condo building. It's relatively narrow.
Yeah.
So all the
It's
buildings,
almost ridiculously narrow compared to the length of the building.
Mhm.
It does have a deep backyard there, relatively speaking.
So you can see these houses here, they all have an existing single, first story back porch.
Yeah.
That's why it looks as we see here. That's the back porch they're doing. So with that, I want to have a quick look at what they're actually asking for. Like, what is the zoning relief they're requesting? So where will I find that? Statement of burden of proof, probably the burden of proof. Let's have a look. Okay, they're looking for special exception from subtitle E 205.4, 10-foot rule. Subtitle E limited addition to 10 feet beyond the furthest rear wall of any adjoining building. The addition will extend the rear of the building by 16 feet call it 17 feet beyond the furthest rear wall of the adjoining building to the north.
Which means
That
it'll
is-
block the sunlight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now 17.
Because
are
in
we
this
see-
neighborhood, the sun probably won't rise above that building until sometime like maybe noon.
Yeah. That's funny. 17 feet does not sound that onerous, but my guess is it's 17 feet beyond this.
Right.
Yes,
And-
yeah.
Yeah,
Because
from-
there's your calculations right at the top.
This is a
Yeah.
question for the architects. Does DCRA consider this the brick? I didn't think they included the old porches.
Mhm.
I
that's
thought,
a good question, Kevin. I'm actually not sure,
Good point.
but there
I
is an
always-
argument for looking at I think there's an argument for each location.
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's just like, if they had come, I mean, this looks, I'm just eyeballing it. This distance here is probably,
I'd say
It
it's
appears-
7 to 8 feet.
it looks like it's more than
It's a
probably
bit more
8
than the
feet.
far
It's
one, but
9.
not as much. Maybe it's 9 feet.
We'll call it 9 feet. So either
8
they're
to
asking for
9
a
feet, yeah.
17, they're either looking for that, or call it 9. It's either asking for a 27-foot exception, or they're asking for a 17. 17 clearly sounds a lot better than
Mhm.
Well, it's
27.
really 18 because it's 2 inches shy of 18.
Right. Well, so are these, I guess the question I ask for every project, are these family size units? I mean, they are going to clearly, because this building, go back to Google view, not sure, see if I can zoom out here. This is, this is where the sun is going to rise here. So the sun will rise where my mouse is throughout the day. It'll transit the sky and come over here. So this will tend to shade the back of the house. There's no doubt about that. I won't say there's not going to be any real impact to the front light into the front. And there are no windows being, so there is an impact. There's no denying that.
Yeah.
Question is, what's the community benefit? How many units?
Well, and here's some additional information. So the senior next door to the north, I haven't seen where there was a plan submitted in regards to that shared chimney. And I know that she's on the wait list for the solar program, the senior solar program.
Yes. So
that was her concern.
we do need to speak with them, because you're correct. There is a shared chimney here. They need her permission to extend this chimney, and that's not a zoning regulation matter. That's actually a building life safety issue.
Right.
So,
And that has not been granted.
all right, let me just put a note there. Are you in regular communication with the senior?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
And with the 2-story height addition on the south side of her home, that would possibly mean that her solar panels would not work well.
Right.
They would be in shadow most of the time.
So if you go up the block a little bit to, I want to say 807, I believe is the nearest property that has solar, or 807 20th.
They probably wouldn't have a problem, because by that point the sun would be definitively above them.
Yeah.
Well, so I mean, I'm all in favor of protecting solar. I have a solar system myself, which has been impacted by a pop-up. But I will say that the zoning regulation is pretty strict about it has to be an permitted and operational system at the time of the application.
Gotcha.
Right.
So,
Okay.
there are a lot of people who use a solar system as a defense mechanism to be like, oh, I was going to do solar, when they hear of someone wanting to do that. So at this point, the applicant has already submitted their application. Solar, unfortunately, is no longer an issue, but the chimney now, and solar, to clarify, is a zoning regulation concern. The chimney is a life safety building. That's a building code, because they need to get this neighbor's permission to there's one or two ways to deal with this. You can extend that chimney, or you can retire the old appliances which use the old,
Right.
which require a passive chimney. They could go to like a condensing boiler or something more modern.
Right. And I think, just to be clear, that's how we ended up on this conversation, is because that was her rationale for not signing off on the extension of that chimney.
Dirk has posted a couple of questions here. Is this proposed building still within the maximum % lot occupancy footprint of the building? The zoning here is 10 feet beyond the exterior wall, not the zoning here is 10 feet beyond the exterior wall, including the sunroof, not the brick portion of the second floor. Was I not looking at this correctly? So they're saying by, Derek is correct. Yeah, no, sorry, Derek, you're right. I was, this is the brick portion, and they're saying, well, if they were just going slow, they're saying this is 10 feet. Oh, and they want to do 17 feet beyond? Or what are they saying?
They're looking to do 17 feet, 10 inches beyond
10 feet.
The extension, that sort of the porch thingy.
The addition will extend to the rear of the building 16 feet and 10 inches beyond this, the furthest rear wall of the adjoined building. So if they're calling it 17 feet, they're calling this a rear wall.
Yeah,
that's not a wall.
But they just said 16 feet in the written, and it's actually 17.10.
That's probably a typo. It's this drawing here. They'll go by. Actually, but you know what? But you do bring up a point. They would need to amend this request, because if they need to amend their ask, 16 feet 10 inches. So we can tell them that their request. They're asking for something. And if they get this relief, then they need to update their drawings, or vice versa. They need to exhibit. Somebody, I'll take a note here. Exhibit 6.
It looks like those were porches that were just enclosed. So originally those were just rear porches. And then when it becomes enclosed, the question is, does that really become the new rear wall? And so I think there's an argument to say that it does not. You could also argue that it does, but that's the difference between the 17 versus the 26.
Who would we ask that? This is probably a question, this is probably a question for the zoning administrator. Like, they're the ones who interpret what these things, I don't know the answer off the top of my head. I feel this is usually I think people go by, I've seen people go by when it's both, if it's like a back porch that has been fully enclosed and people living it all the time, I have seen people call that the rear wall, which kind of makes sense. But when it's just a single story rear porch, that really feels like a porch.
But it's enclosed and occupied. I don't know how that doesn't become your furthest rear wall.
Yeah.
Because the zoning regulations don't say the highest furthest back rear wall or the most prominent. It just says the furthest.
Yeah.
And it's occupied space. If it were a deck, it wouldn't be a wall. That's
true. Ironically, if the adjoining homeowner didn't have windows there, they could argue it's not a wall, it's a porch, but it is enclosed.
Yeah. In that, if you were to follow that to, its logical conclusion, then you could start counting sort of. Could you also make the argument in the reverse where, oh, this is just one story, my furthest back wall is this higher one, I'm just building this addition that's one story but goes all the way back to the rear of my lot.
That's true.
I think the only time I've seen conflict around this issue, which was, I think it was maybe more of an issue, is because some of the discussion around when these things were built and the permitting and how that all worked. and what DCRA had on record for those things. So I think there was a similar discussion in regards to this for someone's front porch that they closed in, and the front build lines that I remember from a few years ago. And a lot of that discussion for that hearing centered around, some of what we've discussed in terms of, well, when is a wall? And so I think that there is maybe room for some genuine difference in opinions here.
So, but I did want to see is how many, has anyone looked at the plans to see, are these family size units? I mean,
I think I saw probably 2 bedrooms each. If you look, those look like bedrooms.
Sure. Let me go back to the front, the drawing. Oh, and Derek wanted to know the lot occupancy, and they're saying usually it's on the first page.
36.8 they have right there.
That is lower than expected.
It's a huge lot, and we kind of discussed that before, whether they're counting to the build line or like the exact extents that they're calling the overall lot.
Yeah, it is a very large lot, and they're still probably just using, I'm sure they're not hitting 60%. That's so, even if it's not 38%, something higher, it is without a doubt, it's not.
That one looks like it's, well, no, where's the
How many bedrooms? All right, so where is the entrance to this? Well, all the units.
It's off of over, nope, that may not be. I don't see an entrance.
So there's stairs. So you walk into this, the main door here. This is the front door for this unit. We'll call it Unit A. Central living. They walk down the stairs, and then there is 1 bedroom.
There's 3 bedrooms.
3 bedrooms.
3 bedrooms and 3 baths.
And there's even, I think, to be a back patio. This might be a den or some kind of structure. So that's Unit
That's
A.
underground.
Actually, it might even be a 4th bedroom, because if you notice, the bathroom has a door into it. There's 2 doors into that small bathroom.
Yeah, I'm not seeing a window. I'm seeing a clear definition of a window here. Window.
Yeah.
Windows.
You're right. I don't see a window there either. So.
But anyway, so it's more than 3. It's family. It's 3 or more. It's family size. This is, you walk in the main door. This is to go up the stairs into probably Unit B, central living area. And it looks like here they can go, there's a bedroom, then they walk down a floor.
There are 2 bedrooms.
Another 4-bedroom unit. Man, I just don't see that very often. Okay. And you're still
And
only
that
got
one has 1 bathroom downstairs, and then the 2 bedrooms on the main level. One has a bath. Well, actually, it looks like a main bathroom and a powder room.
Yeah. And this is the 3rd story. You walk in to the entrance right here. Central living area, and then it looks like they've got
2 bedrooms.
There's a bedroom, and then
steps to go up to the next level.
You can walk up, which is the rooftop deck.
Yeah.
So unless I missed it, the top floor unit is a 2-bedroom unit with easy access. Actually, does everyone actually have access to the penthouse? They don't.
No, I don't think so.
It's not a shared rear access unless they're going to. So
go back up to that one, the one right above there. Roof deck below. So there is a front deck somewhere. Roof deck below, and roof.
Deck proposed plan. These are probably skylights here, something I'm guessing.
So does this still include a mezzanine level? Because I know when we had, that might be what's at issue here. And maybe that should be added to the list of requests.
This is the building. This is first floor, 2nd, 3rd, and there's this building. Oh, so it's like another room? It's this structure here, isn't it?
So yeah, that's what you're looking at. Yeah, it's that roof coming up above that's partially opened to that deck. So the roof deck is that footprint everywhere it says roof deck.
Got it.
H shape, and then that roof comes over in the drawing below. You can see it. it sort of comes over, but it doesn't cover the full deck, but it does then angle down.
It looks like,
And I mean,
so they've got skylights here. Is it kind of like
Yeah.
is it kind of like a dramatic? So there's kind of a dramatic, so the other units have a
Oh,
very
I see.
dramatic roof line. Which will
Yeah.
probably look nice from, interesting.
Because it then it looks like visual, there's a window that opens to the unit below there.
Mhm.
They got a lot of funky stuff. And I imagine that's part of why it's a private deck, because you can see into their unit as well.
Mhm. Oh,
Here's
That
my
could
other
be-
question, though. It looks like the elevation there for the living space, they're now going over the 40-foot limit.
Although that's the roof deck technically from the look of it.
Yeah, it's not enclosed. There aren't walls, I don't believe, around
So
it. I
this
think-
is, so then what is this? So we're just looking at a single wall, but I see 2 walls at least.
I think based on the plan, it looks like the ends are open other than when their stair comes up. But
Okay.
the west elevation, I'm not sure how that reads.
Yeah.
The what look like windows, I'm not sure how that works exactly.
so
I think that might be the door from the stairwell.
Well,
Commissioner
to the left is,
Yeah.
but to the right in the triangle, it looks like 2 windows in an enclosed space, but that doesn't make sense with what they're shown in plan.
Yeah, they probably intend that to be like an upper skylight area. Like a
Because see
high- right?
what is this that we're
Yeah.
looking at now? So I see these 2, and that's east and west. What are we seeing from the north and south?
so this is from the,
That's that
Yeah.
roof, and that what I don't understand is how all the heights work really. Because if we're
Yeah,
talking
it-
9
they're-
feet, the door's that tall. How do you not just run into that roof that comes over?
Yeah. I mean, I think they're over on height and they're trying to get around this because I think we had this conversation before when it was labeled mezzanine instead of roof deck. But I mean, you still got the same walls here. So it looks like that ought to be another request for relief.
It also looks like that basement floor, that room that is there that had no windows is what's immediately underneath the door that goes into the building. That's what I think that is.
Mm.
so, oh, this is actually not, this is
Yeah,
actually.
there we go.
And interesting, there is what appears to be a
Does appear to have a window.
window well. And there's actually even a window right here.
Yeah.
Could
That
be a
might
bedroom.
actually, it actually might be a legal 4th bedroom.
But if the ground height, if we go back up and the ground height to level 1 is 4.9.5, it should be 311 or less between ground and level 1
So this
for that to
is-
be a cellar.
Yeah, and you can see in the roof. That's where I don't understand height wise how that works.
Yeah, it just is like the math is not adding up.
Because you would, unless you're
The math is not mathing.
use something. I just want to take a look. What is their
Well,
definition?
I think that line is the guardrail of that stair. In
Oh, you
unit
think?
D.
that
Oh, no.
line, but where it's coming angling up.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Something's weird because there's that other
Yeah.
door, the
Yeah.
entrance
So
door to unit C.
Yeah.
I think we just need to invite have they reached out? Have they presented at any of the community meetings, Commissioner Moore?
No,
Didn't they present to us? Or am I thinking of something else?
I think
no,
we
I
discussed
think
this.
we
I think-
discussed this when the neighbor wanted to take a look at it. That's how we got on this whole conversation about
Okay.
the chimney and all of that, because that was she was concerned about the chimney and her
Yeah.
potential solar panels. That's how we got on that discussion. But now they said, okay, we want to file a BZA, and now we're looking at it again as a BZA case. And it looks like really much of the same concern that we had before in regards to some of the measurements is still there. And then they're just kind of renamed the mezzanine a roof deck.
They may need to excavate further downward.
Yeah, and then the whole cellar measurement issue is still not worked out.
So I think we just need to invite, there's uncertainty here on our interpretation. I think we need to get them in. I think I'll take the action to, I will look at the contact information in the BZA case and reach out to and invite them to the February ZDC meeting.
Yeah, I mean, here's the other thing, because I know we discussed last time we took a look at this, potentially having them come out, that they were still having conversations with DCRA about some of these things. So I'd like to know the outcome of that pre-project docs conference that they had with DCRA and whether they got any zoning feedback.
It's true. I recall now that they had scheduled in the permit review when we
that's right. The PDRM. That's right. I remember.
Because I'd be curious as to whether, because it looked like they were reviewing the same questions that we had during that conference from the conference notes, but I just know it hadn't happened yet. And so I don't know if it has at this point.
So, so I'm going to, Commissioner Moore, I can reach out to them for to present at the zoning committee meeting if you wanted, if you think it's still too early, or maybe is, the February ANC meeting will be the week before. Actually, let me check the calendar. There are months when the when is it, monthly basis, February, January, is the, looks like this second Tuesday is February 8th, and our meeting will be the 17th. Okay, so they're different weeks.
I think I saw something about there have a review or something scheduled at the end of the month. Is that possible? This month. I thought I saw something saying January 26th on this one.
On what?
Oh, let's see. On this particular case.
Yeah.
I think that was the other case.
I think it was.
Okay.
Yeah, this one is.
This one's just so new.
April 13th. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, April, this was the April one. Okay, very good. Sorry.
Yeah. So we'll reach out to them and Commissioner Moore. It might be just good for them to also, assuming that there is a change at the or clarification of their plans, you would not hear the community at large would not hear at an ANC public meeting until the March ANC public meeting. That doesn't give a lot of time for community feedback prior to the. So
I'll go ahead and invite them out for February. I think that that's the best course of action.
and I'll invite them also to the zone because we're all just kind of confused about their plans. All right.
Yeah.
Let me jump on to next case, which was 1274 Oat Street Northeast. And where is this? Was 1274. Construct a rear deck addition to existing attached 2-story. And what I'll do for folks sitting at home, I'm just going to bring up this address. And this is in 5D07 in the northern, or in the middle portion of Trinidad. It is a row house. And we looked at these plans earlier, and all the plans involved doing something in the rear yard. And the homes on this particular block of Oat Street have pretty, the pretty small backyards that can, fit, a van, but not much more. So that's the property overview real quick. And let's have a look at what Derek has a question, pardon me. Chat, it's not clear what you're confused about the plans. Only exception is the 17 feet extension or 16. I understand the cellar ground floor. To me, the plans make sense, and I totally agree. about the chimney extension. Okay, gotcha, Derek.
Yeah, I think the confusion is whether they should be asking for more on their request than what they've asked for based on the plans they've submitted.
Yes, yeah, it's just, I think Derek, we're just curious, just from our own education, should they have been asking for a 20 set, should they have defined what they're doing as a 16 feet beyond, is this a 16-foot extension, or is it a 27-foot or something like that? We just want to understand, how do they define a rear wall? And Derek, can someone type this? Captions aren't clear. Pardon me, Derek, I am probably speaking too fast for the captions.
What he was saying is that he understood the plans pretty well, but some of the labeling was a little off, and that we need to determine whether or not it's actually 16 feet or 17 feet, and a few things like that. In other words, just some inconsistencies in their documentation.
Skip, would you mind typing that into the chat log for me so I can keep moving forward with the next?
Where is the
case?
chat log? Or you mean just in the chat?
In the chat, yeah. That way you can reply to Derek, and Derek can have it in writing.
Okay.
Oh, or he looks like he's good.
Yeah, I sent a direct message.
Still answered. Okay.
Okay. So the architectural plans and elevations for this BZA case, and this case, by the way, has a hearing in April. So this April, at the end of April, April 27th. And so what they're looking for doing at the rear of the house is to, I see what they're doing. Current, I'm not sure if there is a back porch here, but it looks like what they would like to do is raise the floor of the rear porch, going to have some stairs going up to it to give themselves some additional height here. And
so you can put a car underneath of it, I'm betting.
So I think that is the intention here. I see this says here, new roll-up door, 2x12 pressure treated southern pine beams. So new 6-foot wooden fence to replace existing, new 6-foot wooden fence inside. That always worries me when I see people installing fences inside existing fences. The only thing that ends up happening is you get weeds between two fences that no one can ever kill. It's a total pain.
Why don't they just replace the old fence and put in a new one?
Well, the other fence may be owned by the neighbor, and I've had a neighbor when I was trying to get next to a developer, and they were putting up a new fence. She had an existing chain link fence, and they offered, hey, do you want us to get rid of this? So we just have the one nice big fence. And she insisted upon keeping her. And I told her, you're going to regret that. And after the spring and summer rolled around, she was really regretting having the chain link fence because she couldn't get into the gap to weed and to get the stuff out. And thankfully, the developer did offer and actually took away the chain link fence, and she was a lot happier. So, but we can ask them that question. Let me jump to see what the asks are. What is the burden of proof statement for this case? To see what zoning relief they're requesting. Oh, I'm on the wrong case. Let me go this one. This is the burden of proof. If I got the right one this time. Okay, our neighbor, Ms. Jessica Earhart. Looks like they're looking for zoning relief from lot occupancy. The existing structure and deck cover 70% of the lot. So there's no change in lot occupancy. It's just the fact that even the existing is, and that's just because they don't have much of a backyard. The next is a rear yard setback. The existing rear yard is 8 feet, would remain the same. So they're just constrained with the existing lot. And there's a side yard setback, requires a 0 or 5 foot side yard. The existing side yard used for Yeah, this one, I'm curious, why do we still have these side? I thought these side yard setbacks didn't count. What is the side yard? Do one of the architects know what this is about?
I mean, I'm a little shocked that they're going to BZA at all and not just replacing kind, other than they need a plat. That may be why, because they're doing a deck. I'm a little
My betting is
surprised.
it's because the last time it was done, it was without permits. So if they change it, they might have issues.
Yeah, it could be, but
That would be my suspicion. Because the current structure is 10% above what's allowed.
But you could, yeah, as I think as Marshall's saying, you can get a repair and replace. I mean, I'm just surprised
But
they
that's
would have.
probably only true if it was legally there to begin with. But if they never got the permits for it the first time, then it might be that they can't replace it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Derek?
I've seen people grandfathered in even if they didn't have the permits.
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, Derek makes a point here. Side yard is applicable to end units. The 0 feet setback applies here because this house is not an end unit. Yeah, they got rid of a lot of those unnecessary. So even if she was to go forward with the BZA case, I think she could remove this. Is she representing herself, or does she have a land use attorney? It just seems like, well, so I think she's representing herself. Yeah, I don't think she needs this, but it's one of these things. If she got it, even though she needed it, it's fine. Yeah, we should reach out. I mean, I can take the action to reach out to her just to say, hey, would you like to come to the next? Her case is not until the very end of April. So, and I don't think this is going to cause a lot of angst because she's just really just changing the height of her existing rear deck. But I can't imagine any of the neighbors objecting to this. So I don't think we need to have a lot of anguish over this, but I think we should invite her to the zoning committee meeting just to discuss to make sure that it's filled out correctly. I generally, I mean, I will say I recently, I'm also building a rear porch in back of my house, and we went to go do it. I was going to do it like a year ago before my big renovation started, just to get it done. And I realized that, to build a new porch, you do have to put down proper footers. You have to do it. There is an entire deck process that DCRA has got, like here's how you build a back deck. So you would have gotten permits, and maybe she had already attempted to get permits and she got stopped by somebody who just said, no, you can't do this. You're not violating. So I have a funny feeling that's probably what happened. She might have tried to get a repair and replace. So we can reach out to her to inquire.
I'm betting the zoning laws came into existence after the house was built, because if you read below, the house was built, it looks like 1925. And it covers 70% of the lot from when it was built.
And then thoughts on this, she may not need, it is possible that they told her all of this, that she had a meeting with DCRA and somebody might have told her this. We can double check if side yard relief is truly required. And the rear yard, I mean, honestly, Commissioner Moore is an ANC commissioner here, would you have any objection to supporting this project as shown here?
No, I don't see a problem there.
Yeah,
I think it would just be a nicety to kind of maybe help the neighbor out on the paperwork.
Yeah, I feel that way as well. So, I mean, my guess is they probably contacted DCRA and somebody gave them a lot of grief. And now they're having to submit all this paperwork for a porch. Oh, God. All right. So, all right. Okay, I'm going to move on with the agenda because I'm already 5 minutes over. So ZC 1251 was the other case. We mentioned this at the very beginning of the meeting, but there is a future PUD 9-unit development case coming up at 2229 M Street Northeast. that is very near where the new future soon to be opened, well, I'm not sure how soon, Maryland Ave entrance to the Arboretum will be. And I'm not going to go there right now because the applicant, although they've reached out to Commissioner Moore, they haven't presented any drawings or any information about the unit mix. It is PUD would be to provide affordable senior housing, but we don't know the depth of affordable. There's different definitions of affordable. So we just need to stand by and wait for some more information.
And they should present in February.
Okay. So I'm going to try to limit my going over to not too long. We do want to talk about some upcoming things to be more proactive. We talked about setting up tracking for vacant blighted properties, and I understand we already have a volunteer. Is that correct?
You mean me?
Yes, I mean you.
Yes. Although I do, I probably need to become a bit more familiar with a few things before I actually start trying to plan the tracking system.
Yeah. Well, I think what we could do is create some sort of Google Sheets document that's attached by the and I can just create a document or something or a Google Sheet that is owned by the ANC 5D zoning Gmail account, and then I can share it and with you having right access, and then we can just figure out some way of doing it, of how do we track this, and then maybe have it, and then it probably just begins with a survey, just walking through the neighborhoods and doing a walkthrough and say, right, can we identify a top 10 list of properties that the community is really not, and just figure out how do we do
the question I have is, do we actually have, I guess you might say, are there zoning rules that specifically say something is abandoned or something that is, not in great shape that we could tie things to?
So here's where I would say things, it's not completely up to us, which is the good news in my opinion. So I think we can really rely on, things that we would generally consider associated with vacant properties: weeds being out of control, being in disrepair, as far as you can tell, lack of utilities, which sometimes you can tell by the utility boxes outside.
Okay.
So that kind of thing. And then we can basically start the spreadsheet, assign it to DCRA, and they would go through and have their investigators review those locations and provide feedback, which is why I think the Google spreadsheet is a really great way of handling that. Because that's how we communicate with them now about a variety of issues, and they provide comments and updates.
One thing I suspect, with at least several yards I have seen in my walks, I've noticed that the owners are older. It could simply be a case of they are not capable of maintaining their lawns any longer.
Yeah.
Well, I would say we're not talking about putting pressure on people for bad yards.
Right.
We're talking about when the front facade of the building has collapsed.
Correct.
And it's a safety hazard to communities.
Okay, that's what that's where I was asking line-wise. What is some people have said there are too many weeds, and that's an unkempt yard. But
I would say by too many weeds, think about weeds that are staring you in the face as an adult.
Okay.
The grass is an inch or two taller than might suit tastes. But there are definitely properties where the weeds are as tall as a grown man, and you wouldn't walk in there for fear of what you might step on, etc.
Or what you might find.
Fall into.
Well, DCRA doesn't define a blighted property. They do have a list of factors they look for, including it's boarded up, are doors and windows and everything weather secure, are exterior walls free of holes, graffiti, and rotting material, that sort of stuff, decay of paint, whether or not the porches look like they're about to fall down.
Well,
there's a property over on 20th, and I'm pretty certain you know which one I mean, where they've popped up the top and now the windows are all boarded up and everything. And I've looked at the permits and it just says stop work orders. But those stop work orders are at least a year old now.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so that one's already, that one's already before BCIB, which
Mhm.
is the board that condemns buildings.
Okay,
So some of these properties, like that very obvious example, if you just look up in the tax records at the Office of Tax and Revenue, you can see it's already listed as vacant and now blighted property. But I think what we're trying to identify is those properties that are not already listed as vacant
Very
and
good.
blighted by OTR.
And yeah, and Derek mentioned that as well about the tax records, because it could be that a
Yeah.
property is vacant, but not being taxed as vacant. It is a much higher
Right.
tax rate. So sometimes it might be something where when we identify a property, it's clearly been vacant for years.
Mhm.
If we can just get the tax assessment corrected, that might put some additional pressure on them just to kind of like, listen, you can't just sit on a blighted property. If someone doesn't have the resources to do it, then like it can't just sit there for 10 years. I mean,
Right.
there's
Right.
like the place on Moore Street, like something
Okay.
has to get done.
Would you be kind enough to send me the link to the tax record stuff? As I'm new in DC, I'm not certain where I would
Yeah.
go looking for it.
Yeah,
Sure.
just-
Actually, if you just type into Google DC property tax lookup.
Oh, 1 second.
Yeah.
yeah, usually Googling, if you Google DC real property tax, you'll find,
Yep.
and you can put in anyone's address and it's all public records and you can see what people get assessed for their tax.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, and just probably,
Bingo.
so Skip, what I
Yeah.
can do is you and I can chat this month about like, how do we, we should probably have a process, like a step-by-step process.
Exactly. We
How do
should.
we do it? I mean, that way we can check, have we done this for each property? Marshall, could you mention that there's the kind of definitions, could you email?
Yeah.
I dropped a link in there.
Oh, thank you.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, maybe I did it.
No, I don't.
Oh, I
see
did a
it.
direct one. Sorry.
Oh, got it. It's
Sorry.
like-
I meant that one. Oh,
Thank you.
nope, that's the other one. Go. No, oh, that's because I'm on everyone. I don't like the text.
The My
thing.
Tax one.
The My Tax is the property. There we go. Derek sent it. I accidentally direct texted it to Derek, but he dropped it. I think he dropped it.
Is it DOCRA? Is that how it's pronounced?
DCRA.
DCRA. The initials are spelled
Yep.
are spelled out. Okay.
Yeah.
And DCRA is in charge of building permits. That's why they're involved there. And then the other one we deal with, BZA, is building zoning or business and zoning.
Or well, the BZA is the Board of Zoning Adjustment.
Board of Zoning.
Yeah. Well,
Thank
zoning
you.
is-
Who are part of the DC Office of Zoning. And
Yeah.
they're, Skip, the way to think about it is zoning folks are the philosophy of what we want to build, and DCRA are the folks to ensure that it's built properly and people don't die. One's more like the philosophy of what we want built. So Skip, I can work with you throughout the month so we can get that started.
That
It'll
sounds
probably
good.
take a little bit, but it would be nice to figure out what is the process, and maybe we eventually we can have some system, but also then keep ourselves honest that if we do this, we can say, okay, we've done this each step of the way, and everything should be public.
One thing that comes to mind, because if we set up as a spreadsheet, what we should probably do is set it up in a way that each neighborhood has its own tab or something like that for organizational purposes.
I think I think each house will end up having to have a lot of entries, right?
Mhm.
I think to address one of these blighted properties is going to take months, could take a years.
Oh, okay.
Follow-ups. I suspect there's going
So
to
a
be a lot
tab
of
for each property is basically what
or
we should.
something, or
Okay.
or it could, I think maybe a spreadsheet just to summarize the properties, and then in there would be a link to a document, public document
On
per
the property. That makes
Because
sense.
it's going to
Yeah.
be a conversation with many people in city government, at DCRA, tax. It's going to be, we can, we'll think about, we're just thinking real time here, but it's, these things haven't remained this way for 20, 30 years.
Right.
If people aren't trying. I just generally, there's often, turnover in administrations. Someone might be working on it, but then they get promoted to a different part of the government, and so it's hard to get consistent pressure. So whatever we do, it needs to be something that is, from one ANC to the next, one zoning committee to the next members. It's something that can be transportable, and we can keep the pressure on, and we can eventually follow up. It's almost as bad sometimes trying to get a speed bump installed in your neighborhood.
Oh God.
And people do, it's not, it's
We're trying around here.
Yeah, that's it. That's the main thing. And we just got to keep going. The only two major exemptions that I'll mention, because I don't want to hog all the time, is construction and sales. So it's currently pending up for sale and currently under construction. And then I think there's a certain amount of days without doing construction at the site, which I think is maybe 45 days. But you have to be able to demonstrate that. And I double check the number of days too.
Okay. One real quick question. Kevin, I think you mentioned that some of the other, I'm sorry, excuse me, some of the other ANCs track this type of stuff.
Mhm.
Would it be worthwhile talking to one of the ones that you've seen doing it to find out how
Absolutely.
they have things set up?
Absolutely. And I highly
I'm
encourage you
thinking
to
of
do
trying to
that.
avoid inventing a wheel again.
Yes, I mean, and a lot of the other ANC have zoning committees, and you could reach out to them, and and you could say, hey, how do you tell them, hey, I am on ANC 5Ds, and we want to track blight. Now the thing is, there's not that many blighted properties in Capitol Hill or Georgetown, right? So certain neighborhoods have problems, that other neighborhoods don't have. So, but you can at least reach out to it. But anyway, I do want to be respectful of folks' times. I've already, 18 minutes over here, and Skip, we can
Oops.
chat during the week, during the month on this. But I would like to wrap up the meeting unless folks have other agenda items they'd like to raise. If not, okay. Well, I'm going to call it a month. Thanks everyone for joining. If everyone has any questions, please reach out to me. Thanks everyone for attending, and cheers, and have a good evening and be safe.
Bye.
Thank you.
All right,
Cheers.
bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.